Okay, so I'm with Darren in the class at the moment, and a couple of people have just asked me about how different parts of this circuit work. So we've got the start function there. We've called it dice. Um, this is a randomizer, so you press that, and it keeps producing a random variable until you let go of the button, and then it goes to the random subroutine. I think you're all familiar with the subroutine. It's the compares here. If the number equals between 1 and 6, different outputs come on. I've called this random, which is a little bit of a silly thing to call it because there's already a function called that. But once it's gone through that, it then returns. So where does it return to? Well, it returns to whereabouts it was called, and it was called there. So once you've done that, we're going to wait for half a second. So the dice number will be on screen for half a second, and then we buzz. Okay, and then everything goes low. All right. Sorry, the buzz is another subroutine, and the subroutine is here, and it will buzz the same number of times as the number. You can see n here, which is also the variable in here. Yes, n. It will buzz. It will go through this loop that a number of times, and so it'll go high and then low. So if it's 4, it'll go through this 4 times. If it's one, it'll go through that 1 time. And so what my dice does, it both shows a number and it buzzes that number of times, so that if you are blind, I suppose that you could hear what you got on that dice throw. Right, so we've done this bit. Now let's go on to Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes begins with a D2. It's a different push to make button. What I'm declaring right from the off is P equals 0. So I've got a variable somewhere, which is a push variable. That's what it stands for, the P, where P equals 1 or P equals 0. The idea behind that is that if you push the button, and so you're trying to push it when it is 1. When you push that button, P will then equal 1. So I can ask after each number changes, what does P equal? If it equals 0 after a number changes, in the Snake Eyes, I know that the button hasn't been pressed. If P equals 1 after the number changes, I know that P has been pressed. And let's just go and see how we've got a little program for P, which I think is over here. There it is. This is the program. Press. Has D1 been pressed? D1 is the button that you try and press when 1 appears on the Snake Eyes program, on the Snake Eyes game. So you try and press that at the same time that 1 is being displayed. If you do that, if you press D1 at any time, P will then equal 1. If you don't press D1 at any time, P will just stay on what it is. And because it is on 0, it will therefore be on 0. However, at the beginning of every Snake Eyes game, you're making sure that you're taking the variable back to 0. Does that make sense, Daniel? So far, so good. Right. It's the expression function. Okay? It's the expression function towards the bottom, just above, I think, the random function. Okay, then we've got the random function that you're familiar with. Then we've got D2 off. So this effectively is a randomizer. It's producing a chain of different values between 1 and 6, and we can't control it, so therefore it becomes random. And then we are comparing. Does the number equal M? Right. I'm going to ignore this and come back to it at the end because it's just a little something I put in at the end. So we can just go back. We can ignore that and we can ignore that because they've both got M in it. Right. If you go right to the end of my video, in the last 5 minutes, it explains it. Okay? Kevin, stop with the buzzer. We then go, and this is confusing, to the random. This isn't a random command. This is this here. This is random. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to call this, as other people have been calling it, display. Okay? I'm going to change this. And I'm going to change That being called it because it just makes it much easier to understand. There we go. I'm going to change that to display as well. And I'm going to change this one over here to display because otherwise I think it's just confusing and it's confusing me. So what it's doing to you, I do not know. All right, so now we've got our subroutine called display, not random. All right, so we then call this. We've produced a random number. We've got to produce the display. It's going to go through this just like the dice. So we know that that's really easy. We know that we understand that. Once it's done that and it's produced the display, it comes back and we wait for half a second. We're waiting for half a second because, guys, could be quiet, please. We can't wait for 0.25 a second because it's too fast for me. We then compare, and if p equals 1, and so I've pressed the button, then we go down here and I compare. Does n? All right, I've got this in here. Effectively, you're asking, does n equal 1? Yes, and then you're asking if p equals 1, and then it will buzz. Right, what is this for? Let's just have a look. Right, sorry, I was just having a look at the program. If p equals 1 and n equals 1, you go down here, so you win. If p equals 1 and n doesn't equal 1, so you've pressed the button, but the number is 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, then you go down here, and this is the losing streak. So this is just saying, okay, you've lost, and therefore the display will turn everything on and it will buzz. Whereas this is the winning streak. What S does is a score, so it increases S by 1. That allows then what happens is n equals S. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that so I can use the buzz subroutine. The buzz subroutine uses the n variable. So although I'm increasing the score by 1, I'm then making sure that I can use the buzz subroutine, which is over here, which is all based on n. Okay? So it's just a really easy way to just use something that I've already produced. Daniel, does that make sense? It does. Good. And then we go down to the buzz subroutine, and then we're just resetting the p-value to 0, and then we're going around to the beginning again. I'm not going to tell you about this bit here, m equals n. If you want to find out about that, have a look at the other video in the last 5 minutes. And what that does is make sure that the same number is not displayed twice in a row during the Snake Eyes game. Hope that helps.